Have you just moved in somewhere and you've decided that everybody around you is into plants at the moment? Perhaps you've seen all of these beautiful Instagram photos and then you're busting to go out and buy a brand new plant and get some greenery in your house. And then you go to the big box store or you go to your nursery and it is so overwhelming. There are so many different beautiful plants and leaves and everything. Oh my gosh, do you know where to start? So I tell you what, I'm here to help with that because through my experience, there are a few key plants that are actually really good to start with. So let's talk about the top 3 plants that I would recommend based on my experience when I first started, with 2 added bonus extras if you want to give them a go. So let's get into it. Okay, so second runner-up is what we call a snake plant. The genus is actually called Sansevieria. You might know it as Sansevieria, but actually very recently they've renamed or reclassified the plant and it's now in the Dracena category, but technically everyone still calls them Sansevieria or snake plants. Now the reason a lot of people recommend these for beginners is because they're considered a low light plant. It's very good for low to medium light considerations. They won't grow so fast, but they can tolerate the low light conditions. So you can pretty much put them anywhere in the house. And they're also pretty good in dry and humid conditions. They're more like a little bit like a cacti or a succulent. And so therefore they're actually quite easy and quite a nice technically beginner plant if you're just starting out and you can learn about plant. You can easily overwater these guys because if you look at the stem, if you look at the leaf, it's very thick and it's grown. There's bulbs underneath the soil are there and designed to hold water. So it's very easy to overwater these guys. And if you have overwatered them, you'll see maybe the leaves go limp. You'll see brown spots in the middle of the leaf. It's a bit odd. Yes, they're pretty good for beginners, but for me, I struggled. So I probably wouldn't put them in my top 3. But hey, if you want to give it a go, they're beautiful plants. They can be very striking in a bunch of different Sansevierias. They look great together as a big bunch. So. Okay, coming in at number 4, my runner-up plant, before we get into the top 3, is the ZZ plant. Gorgeous plant. It's called Zimiculosa zamiflora, I believe. Probably butchered that, sorry plant. But everybody calls it the ZZ plant because technically that's probably the easiest thing to say. And they are absolutely gorgeous plants. Actually, you know what? Let's change this up a bit. Okay, let's change that. This is my ZZ plant. Just beautiful. It's been sitting in a medium light condition. I absolutely love the leaves. Probably got a bit of dog hair on there. Oh well. But ZZ plants, as I said, great for beginners who again have perhaps not as much light in their house. They're very well known for, again, one of those low light plants. But please remember, they tolerate low light. They do like a good medium light. I've got him sitting near a window. The window's about maybe half a meter away, just there. You can see a beautiful shoot. It's just growing. Look at the babies. And then just found I've got 2 shoots coming through as well. So it's spring here, so it's just beautiful. So ZZ plants can be good for beginners because of the low light conditions that they can survive in. But again, if you notice, the stems are really, really thick on the plant. And the bulbs, they get thicker down the bottom, and again, there's bulbs underneath the soil in the potting mix. All of these stems and roots are designed to hold water. So again, this guy does not need watering very often at all. I probably water him every month, maybe in summer, every 3.5 weeks. I always check the potting mix, make sure it's a very aerated potting mix, and then make sure it's bone dry before I water it again, because it is designed to hold water and it's designed to survive in lower humidity and lower water conditions. So great for beginners in a lot of ways. Beautiful plant. I absolutely love the striking leaves. You can get it in a few different colors. Like you can get a darker one and this green one. But again, they're not the easiest out there. So if you do want to start with an easier plant, I've got a couple more that I would recommend. Okay. So welcome to my recommendations. So top 3 plants I would recommend, starting at number 3, third time runner-up champion, is the peace lily. This guy is absolutely beautiful, and if you listen really carefully, he actually speaks to you. This one is telling me probably needs a little bit of a water because he's starting to get a little bit droopy. These guys are fabulous, and look how big the leaves can get, and you actually don't need to have that much, fuss over this plant. Definitely recommend it for beginners because, as I said, if you listen carefully or if you watch it, it does talk to you. So if the leaves start to go droopy on this one, it normally does mean that it needs a water. Just double check that the soil isn't too overwatered and over moist, because if it's cloggy and the roots are trying to get through a really hard mud, then it might be overwatered. And technically that is one of the biggest killers of indoor plants these days, is overwatering. But this guy loves a lot of water. He can be a little bit dramatic, but as soon as you give him what he needs, probably more water, he will pop right back up again. So I definitely recommend this guy. You can learn to listen to the plant, you can learn to let the plant talk to you, and you can watch the leaves grow super big in the right amount of light. Okay, so this is my number 2 recommended plant, and I don't hear many beginners talk about this guy. This is the spider plant. It's beautiful thin leaves, but you can see they're a little bit variegated with the white outside and green on the inside. You can also get one that has curly leaves, so the actual leaves go a little bit curly. And you can also buy a spider plant where the white is on the inside and the green is on the outside. Now, I personally recommend this guy because, again, he likes quite a bit of water. In fact, he also talks to me. This guy kind of has more of a whisper. Basically, if it's a lighter color green, if it goes quite of a light color green, it actually probably needs a water. If it's a beautiful, sharp, crisp green, then it probably is beautiful, leave it alone, it doesn't need any more water. I find that they go a little bit light and they do tell you that they need water. So, beautiful plant to start with, can also handle low to medium light conditions. Again, won't grow very fast if it's only in low light, but can tolerate it, he's okay. And again, he is okay with a bit of an overwater, I find, as well. So I like this guy. I think he's beautiful. He gives a lot of babies off as well at the right time. He's got brand new shoots coming in at the moment now because we're in spring. But I would definitely recommend this guy as my top 2 favorite for beginners. Okay, so coming in at number 1 for me, my golden champion of champions for beginners is the golden pothos. This guy right here is so easy to care for and gives a lot of luscious growth and a lot of luscious leaves. Technically, the pothos itself is a beautiful plant for beginner, and you can get so many different varieties. You can get a snow queen variety, a marble queen, which I actually think is very underrated. I have one of those in the house. I'll make sure I put a picture up of that. You can get neon pothos, you can get a basic green heart-shaped pothos, or this guy here, the golden pothos, which gives a little bit of yellow variegation. These guys are absolute champions when it comes to beginner people, beginner plant lovers, and they will tolerate a lot of inconsistency. That's why they're champions. So if you miss watering a week or 2 and you water it every 20 days instead of every 10, he's okay. If you give it a little bit too much light or a little bit too little light, he's also okay. He also loves a bit of a propagation with some green growth. If you want to just cut it up a little bit and try propagating and learning how to make baby plants from the mama plant, he's also a great champion. This guy is just really, really easy to look after. Don't put it in direct sun. That's probably the only thing I would say not to do. And don't put it in a lot of thick, sludgy potting mix also. That's probably the other thing. But technically, you can have a little bit less aeration. You can have a little bit more aeration in the potting mix. He's a very forgiving, very loving, beautiful beginner plant. So give this one a go. If you find him in a store, buy him. He's super cheap. He's not very expensive at all. He's around everywhere. And he's able to grow in a lot of different climates and conditions. This guy is a true champion and deserves the top spot in the top 3 plants for beginners. Absolutely. So there you have it. There's my top 3 recommended plants for beginners, ending on the golden pothos, champion of champions that can love almost anything that you can throw at this guy. I absolutely adore him. But all of the plants that I've talked about today, I obviously have, and I absolutely recommend them. They're really good for beginners, and they do teach you a lot if you listen to them a little bit carefully. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please let me know if you've got any comments or suggestions on what I could talk about. I absolutely love this. This is a lot of fun, but I'm still beginning and still learning. And as I said, this is a channel where I want to grow as much as you guys do. So give me some comments and feedback. Please do subscribe, help me build this channel. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Ciao for now.